No, no, this is much better now. So let me take the opportunity first. So good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for joining. So I'm just giving a little bit of a background on how this happened. So Dr. Atish Ray is actually the CTO for this Savli, the biotech incubator, which is situated in Baroda, and they are doing a fantastic job. There are a lot of startups who are doing very well. Incidentally, we started talking about it with Tai having, a lot of expertise in terms of mentors and investors. And that's when he said that, while we have a lot of startups with great products, innovation and everything, what would really help them to sort of, take them in the right direction and to the next level would be a little bit of a guidance from a business perspective and also from a market entry or a go to market plan point of view. Exactly. Which I thought was very good complementing to each other in terms of the expertise. So this SBTI, I understand it's part of the DST and within that the Gujarat State's biotechnology domain, but that I'll leave with Dr. Ray to probably talk a minute or two on that so that yes, both of you know. And to Dr. Ray yourself and to the interest of everyone who has joined here, let me just give a very, very brief introduction of the two mentors that we have today here. A little bit around the TIE as being world's one of the largest network of entrepreneurs in the world with 61 offices in 14 countries. Ahmedabad is also quite a vibrant setup. We have a lot of members here who are, who are committed and they give a lot of time in terms of their mentoring to younger entrepreneurs and early startups. Milap Singh Jadeja, he's an active angel investor and have invested in many, many companies, including fintech, agri-tech, healthcare, deep tech, and all of that. It's been more than 2 decades that he has been in this industry and in this ecosystem, and has experience in diverse industries, which also includes pharmaceutical and engineering and manufacturing and many other investments, strategy, value creation, value proposition, and understanding of all of these aspects are, I would consider as key strength. And he's definitely, a mentor on board of many, many organizations. So thank you, Milap Singh ji, for, joining today.
Thank you so much, Priyali.
Bhavin, so Milap Singh ji is also the committee head of our TIE Ahmedabad Angels. Bhavin Bhagat is our joint honorary secretary of TIE Ahmedabad chapter. He has a very vast and rich experience in pharmaceutical sector, not just in India, but also in Europe, UK, and many other countries. He is founder of a company called India Biz for Sale. It's a discovery platform for businesses and investors for, successful business transactions. And he also provides on-demand advisory services, with the help of many experienced professionals across India. He's also part of many executive committee boards. And I was telling you, Dr. Ray, that he's also part of the executive committee in AIC LMCP Foundation. And from a network point of view, he also is founder of a club called CIO Club.
CIO Club, yes, you have sent this link. I have sent.
Right. So before we start with this session, sort of, Dr. Ray, if you would like to give a sort of a brief introduction about the SBTI.
Yes. STBI is a Savli Technology and Business Incubator. Basically, we are a technology and business incubator, and we started our journey with a bio incubator only, with BioNest support from BIRAC. And recently, we have received the support from NSTDB, that NIDHI TBI support, and we became gradually sector agnostic. And rather, I must not say we became sector agnostic, but we are gradually trying to become sector agnostic in that. And till date we have supported quite a few startups, around 50 startups, and quite a few patents they have generated, and quite a few product is also in market. But anyway, I am comparatively very new here. I just joined 11 months back, so it is the entire story. And we are also partner of BIRAC Seed, one of the partner of BIRAC Seed Fund that BIRAC used to provide. And this seed fund is basically to support the early stage technology-driven startups to cover the fast value of death and to make the startups more investable in future. So for that reason, to start with, I'm very much glad to have Tai on board with us, and just to start this the mentoring all this event. Basically, we have focused here few participants who are applicant of Bayrak Seed Fund. In this round, we have advertised a call. And, before they are going to appear before the investment board constituted by us, they should get enough inputs that how they should move forward, and they can prepare themselves better to appear before this investment board. And our organization is basically supported by state government DST and patroned by also we are running the project from central governments and all this. So that is in brief all about us. So that's all.
Thank you so much. So I think what I think we should do today as a format of this next sort of 45 minutes is let's probably take a few minutes of your views, Milap Singh ji and Bhavin both. Bhavin, you could probably talk from a overall business and go-to-market strategy for any startup which has a sort of a market-ready product, let's say. And then Milap Singh ji, you could then talk further a little bit more on from an investor's point of view. You know, then when somebody is ready with all of this, how does even an investor think about it and what perspective? Because at the end of the day, they are also going, to kind of pitch people who would either think of a grant or an investment.
Sure. So I think I have a suggestion here. So since there is a diverse kind of crowd here, so I think let us also understand that what do these startups would want to take away from today's session. So if they can quickly in the first 2-3 minutes put up what do they expect out of me and Bhavin and all of us. I think that will also make it a little bit, comprised, so we can at least cover those points and then also cover what we kind of decided. That should help, complete the whole loop.
And I would actually like it to remain after the opening remarks as open house for everyone to ask you the questions that they have in their mind, because as you rightly said, it's a diverse.
It's a diverse crowd. We will have a limitation of time. So I don't know how much we can cover in the next 45-50 minutes. So at least we know that these are 5-6 things that everybody would kind of, want to understand. Okay. Somebody may say how to pitch, we don't know. Somebody says what slides we may cover. We don't know what. So let them put up their own views in the chat box. And while we talk, while I think Bhavin can start, I think they can put up in the chat box and then maybe we can cover up as and when it comes back. What's it, Bhavin?
Yeah, good. Look, I'll cover 2 to 3 points which are very close to me, close to my heart regarding any young startup. And in meantime, we can get the messages ongoing regarding what are the topics which we want to cover.
Perfect.
Okay, so I understand that most healthcare companies would be B2B focused companies where they have product or services which would be useful for some other companies, and there will be few which will have B2C type of outlook towards their product or services. So right now I'll focus on B2B side. In B2B side in healthcare, general understanding is that generally this is a long term. There are many regulations and rules to adhere to, especially for compliances, and generally you are looking for long term outlook towards your journey. And for that, it becomes important that your founding team is also aligned with your long term vision, and you have generated enough bandwidth in terms of capital so that you can keep your lights on in the company. A lot of angel investors, when they invest into healthcare opportunities and when they compare healthcare opportunities versus other opportunities which they would have invested in, both would have a very different type of journey, where healthcare opportunities will take longer period of time, but when the product market fit and let's say traction has been there, the growth will be immense. Whereas in B2C, initial traction wise, you will get it quickly. However, the competition will as soon as you grow to a certain size, you will have a lot more competition in non-healthcare type of verticals. So there are the journey, if you look at the growth curve, it will look different for healthcare companies. Initially, it will be slow, and hopefully it will become very massive going forward. So I would say that a lot of times, as a startup founder myself as well, initially we were very much bogged down with the product itself, that this is how the product will work, this is how the product should look like, this is how the product's feature should be designed. But as soon as we plan, we develop, we design that type of feature, we develop those features, we release those features. By that time, the target audience may have different needs as well. So what I have learned in my journey is that launching something very, very basic, but doing it nicely for that basic purpose is much more important than going with 6 or 7 good features about your product and company, product or services. Look, this is very, very generic, and this is very, very base. So far, I've just talked about B2B, long-term vision, the team and the capital with outlook of long-term versus short-term, and not worry too much about all the products features, and not worry about all the product features, but launch something which is basic but works well, get some feedback from the market, and then gradually increase your product and features. The last thing I would say, which is so these are all the points which I would want to do myself. The last thing I would say that, look, a lot of time healthcare companies come to investors or any partners saying that, look, you'll have to sign an NDA, you'll have to do this and that before I can share my things. But look, it's not about innovations, it's about execution. Innovation is going to get you, it will open the door, but not will complete the sale. So execution is extremely important. And if your idea is easily copyable, then obviously there is a bit of problem. So please be aware about that. It's not about once you have patent on your product, anyway you have given on most information in your patent application. So it's not going to be restrictive for your growth. Your competition, if they can copy you fast, then there is something wrong with your product execution and your growth. So yeah, I think this is my start. Milab, I'll pass it on to you if you have any comments, and then we can look into these questions.
Sure, I think great, Bhavin. So that also gives me a perspective at times. So thanks for sharing. Okay, so I'll take this up from the first 2 questions. I think what Dr. Sanket mentioned is the 25 lakhs that he needs to start or work on the QC and the QA side. So I'm not sure if you are aware, Sanket, that so Gujarat government has a scheme, right? So when you're getting incubated here, Gujarat government has a scheme which allows up to 40 lakhs or maybe 50 lakhs, out of which a certain amount goes for research and certain amount goes for the marketing and the market development. So once you're incubated, your incubation center would help you to apply for that grant. So it's a grant that you get, so your equity doesn't get diluted at this stage. And for QC, QA, any kind of research that you do, they have an additional scheme also for startups and for SMEs, MSMEs, all of them. So I think you should explore. So Dr. Parmar is the Joint Commissioner of Industries. And if you all want to check the website, you can note it down. I have his card here, so I'll just read it down for you. It's okay, let me write it down. So I think that'll be helpful to all. It's www.ic.gujarat.gov.in. So this will help you, make available all the data. That's kind of the kind of subsidies, the kind of grants, that's everything available to them. Added question is from Suvo SNRS, that is the grant restricted to the startups registered in Gujarat? Yes, it is. You need to be registered here. You need to be incubated here for sure. But if you're there in any other state, I'm sure the state government would have their own state policy also. So you can explore that. So that kind of clears the first question. Second is, I think somebody mentioned, okay, so that is Krunal Dholia. He mentioned that how to take care of the customer segments, right? So when you talk about customer segment, that is when you're coming up with a product, you should always do the market research first, which is what are your competitors doing, right? So if you're coming up with an ice cream, for example, you would always look at, okay, what is Vadilal doing? Or what is Have More doing, right? Or what is Asharfi Gulfi doing? It depends on where do you want to put your product as a category. That's why you need to define that what is the geographical positioning of all of them. Urban centers में कितने हैं, rural centers में कितने हैं. Some of them have major outlets, some of them may not have major outlets. So what the strategy you are looking at, and what kind of competition in terms of competitors, then in terms of the products or the SKUs that you are coming up with, that are you looking at a fresh ice cream and doing multiple outlets, right? Then you look at Shankar ice cream and all of those which are here in India, in Ahmedabad. Maybe you can look at, putting up a small setup in malls, which may be cheaper. Then you have a centralized production system, and then maybe you'll do the distribution part into these kind of places. So your customer segment selection will mainly be dependent on what kind of strategy you are coming up with. What is the strategy that you are looking at to building your company, to taking it forward? What's your business plan? So all of you here, the common point would be that you need to write down your purpose. You need to write down that, okay, 2 years, 3 years down the line, considering that the money is there, considering that you have enough resources, how do you look at your company to go? Unless you don't know that, where do you want to go? Which road are you going to take? Which route are you going to take? When will you approach the investors? What is the kind of research you need to do? What and why is the money you need to deploy where, right? And by getting that money, what are you going to achieve out of that, right? So I think that's how you need to look at that. What is going to be a strategy that will define your customer segment? You as a founder is who is going to define the segment. I can't define it for you, right? Nobody else can define it for you. So you need to write a white paper, or you need to make a basic business plan that this is the problem we are looking at, or this is the opportunity that we are looking at, and this is a solution that we intend to provide or fill up the gap with. And then these are the people, these are the founders, right? That we look at that, okay, I am an expert. Now, if I'm into ice cream and if I have a chartered accountant degree, how would that match? So I need somebody, maybe a co-founder who's from the food technology side or who's from the market side, right? So that's how probably you need to look at that. How would the founder base be? Then you need the right kind of advisors on board, or mentors who are going to guide you, who are from that industry, who will guide you to how to take your vision forward, help you make your own business plan. That's another side. Then you need to study the market, which is a total addressable market. How many people have ice creams, right? And how many competitors are there? What will you do in summers? What will you do in winters when the market is low, right? So would you want to have an added product along with that or not? So you need to study the total market segment, competition. What is the market and the geography that you're looking at? What is the kind of setup that you need? What kind of approvals you need or certifications you need, like FSSAI license or any form of commercial certifications that we all need in the whole process. And then how are you going to achieve that, right? When will you be, you need to make a roadmap with timelines that, okay, today I just make a white paper. In next 30 days, I'll be ready with what kind of machinery and what kind of capacity I need with all the approximate codes for that. And then maybe, okay, I have so much amount of money. And then how am I going to kind of arrange for that fund? Out of that, how much will be grant? How much will I go to the market to raise funds? So on and so forth. So you can check on maybe YouTube or maybe Google it out, that what does a white paper mean and what topics it can kind of engage you with. That will help you to arrive on a business plan. So that's one particular area I would kind of consider doing. I'll read a few questions quickly. STBI is a nodal institute. Can you help for the same? I'm sure they can say help. Sir is going to get you back in detail. Pharma service industry, like
there's one from Symbio Research, how to help in pharma service industry like preclinic CRO. He's probably asking how you can.
Yeah, I'll just read that through, and then maybe Bhavin can help on the pharma side. But I'm sure that It's the same thing, right? At the end of the day, it's an idea. And at the end of the day, you're going to set up something. So there are grants for every category. You need to study the website and you will find a grant for you that's there to set up. They also give you certain amount of money to sustain, right, at that point of time. So that's the grant side of it, right? And somebody has mentioned, Nirav is mentioning that Startup India Seed Fund and MSME Innovation Fund. These are more or less you consider like an investor perspective, or in any form of grant or in any form of seed investment, which has a cap. They will invest maybe up to 25 lakhs or up to X percentage of your total money that you need to set up and to start the project. And the application or the contents that I speak of right now in terms of pitching, in terms of business plan, right? You need the same things to kind of present to them. You will need an investor deck. You will need a business plan to furnish to them. You will need your background and history to kind of forward it to them, right? There's a basic form, and every unit will have its own specific form. So you'll have to go through that form and see what is missing. Maybe I can help you on that particular front, right? So grants and support from incubation various scheme, should I reach out to them at, that's what Bhavin mentioned. How to mitigate the cultural risk. If innovator is having a good competitive leverage in innovation and existing giant players are trying to stop the innovation, comes in the way of market by using statutory system and biased intention, right? So Pratik, there is no absolute answer to this, to be very honest, right? Because you need to fight them. You need to stay there. You need to sustain. You need to find a way how resilient you are going to be. So I think being a startup just does not mean that you have an idea and there are grants and there are investors, but as a founder, what are the kind of qualities that you have? So to be a founder, you have to be ready with failures. You have to be ready with rejections. You have to go to n number of investors. People may not like your idea, or they may completely, rule you out that this doesn't work in this competition. But then the market is huge, right? There is space for everybody, right? But are you making a difference? Is it worth the idea? Do you really want to spend or invest your energy fighting all of them? Or do you really want to think about something different, which is not in conflict with them? That does not mean that you don't fight competition, right? But you must be a part of that and how ready you are. So I think it's an individual person to person category. Don't give up so easily. Do the follow-ups. Keep on going on and on and on and on. And till the time you find the right investor and somebody to believe in you. So if I have to believe in you, maybe first you have to believe in yourself. So I think it's about the self-evolution, which can come with good self-help books or reading good autobiographies of people who, what they have done, like Elon Musk, right? What he did something in 12 hours, no other country could do, or Ukraine, right? So what stopped him from doing it, or what pushed him to do that? So get inspired, get motivated by these kind of people, and that should help you. I think that covers most of the questions that I think few of them have said. Any specific questions? Piali, you wanted to say something?
I was just thinking on the same question about mitigating the cultural risk. So this one point, maybe Bhavin can also add, from his experience. So Pratik is asking that, if he has a product and the competition actually comes from maybe the multinationals or transnational companies, then obviously a big company would, not probably try to let a startup grow into as big if there is an innovative product. How do you then manage that kind of a market, that kind of a marketplace?
Okay, so my take on this is there are two steps to it. The first step is that you identify the gap where your your other established players are not servicing them well. Whereas once you identify these gaps, let's say, for example, if you think of all large pharma companies, they have very large medical representatives and sales team. So we have a family business of a small pharma company, and we have around 20 medical representatives across Gujarat. But they identify pockets where the competition is not as fierce as they would have gone to place in Ahmedabad. What I mean to say is that there are always gaps. There are always pockets of market which are underserved or not served at all. So first thing you may want to do is identify those areas those areas will help you create your product market fit if that is not that is not there yet. Once that product market fit and initial traction help you with that niche market you have, then you can probably partner with some mid-sized to large company.
So, Bhavin, why don't you give an example of these branded drugs versus generic drugs, for example? I think it's a great example.
Right. So obviously in India, most drugs are generic drugs, like virtually every drugs are generic drugs. Innovative drugs are prohibitively expensive in past. Nowadays, there are some other, apart from few disease areas, most of the branded drugs are very expensive. They launched in generally in developed countries, Western countries first, and then towards the end of their life, they are launched here. However, this when you look at innovative drugs, they are focused towards Western countries. But let's say generic drugs, most generic Indian generic companies, where do they go for exports first? They go to Africa, they go to South American countries, they go to Southeast Asia first before they go to Europe and US. By that time, they would have invested a lot into the, working on not risking any patents, not complying fully with the regulatory authority and all that. What I mean to say here is that once you identify that where are the gaps where I can sell my products and services, not worry too much about the fight with the established players, that should allow you to experiment with your product and market. And then when you are ready with your good product market fit, then you can partner with someone who has a bit of muscles, who has a bit of vision like you, and that may allow you to get into the market in the areas which you intended to go initially. Look, this is one of the ways I would look at. Obviously, you can fight with your perseverance and your long-term view. This is where this is what I would do. This is what I would suggest. So this is about fighting against the establishment and launching your own products and services. I think there was anything else in this question?
No, from a question, no different question. But of course, okay. Milap Singhji has also added here to Pratik's question that, to finding the own USP, which can obviously,
okay.
differentiate your product.
There was something Milap Bhai was sharing earlier regarding getting initial customers and doing the market research and stuff. One thing I've learned here is that when you are looking to, let's say you have as a startup founder, you would have limited resources, especially limited time, whether time to as a roadway for your company or time for yourself as well. So when you have limited time and you want to get some customers to show that your product and services are good, or that time you have choice, right? You have choice whether you go for which is something which is very, very difficult, but once you get that, it's excellent. And the second choice is that you go for something which is an easy kill. So provided where you are in your life, what I have learned is that if I have a choice, instead of going, so if I want to invest my time, I would invest my time to hit the biggest customer I can get. Once I get the biggest customer in the market, then the other customer wins will become easier and quicker for me. I'll give you one anecdote. This is an anecdote from Kunal Shah, who was the founder of Freecharge and now Cred. When he was working on this Freecharge business model, he wanted to launch free coupons to be used when you recharge your mobile connection. And he said that if I were to, he wanted McDonald's coupon to be given to consumer when someone recharges their mobile on monthly basis. He said that I could have gone to any local food and beverage company and I could have easily got their food vouchers. However, and that would have been easier and some people would have liked it and all that. But he said that I waited, I tried, and I prepared everything so that McDonald's could come and say, yes, you can have our free coupons for your business model. And he said that once he got McDonald's as a free coupon, he got many leading other companies follow that company's suit. What it means is that if you have 5 hours or 10 hours or 15 hours or 20 hours for getting one customer, instead of getting just any customer, if you have chosen that these are my target companies, then you should invest that time getting those branded name companies so that when you go to any new prospect, it becomes easier for you to get the acceptance. Now, this is useful when you have your product ready, or let's say MVP of that product ready. When Kunal Shah, apparently when he went to McDonald's, he did not have any app, he did not have any website to show. He printed how that will look like on cardboard. That's what he was saying in one of his meetings. But so that was an MVP for him. He wanted McDonald's to come on board before he could actually launch the product. So yeah, I think that's what I wanted to add.
Since there isn't any question, I want to ask a quick question on everyone's behalf. Since we're talking about the market entry and go-to-market, how important is the pricing part of the product or this service plays? And if either of you or both of you would like to probably highlight a couple of points from a pricing of the product service perspective. Milab Singh, you are on mute.
Sorry, sir. Bhavin, you want to take it or should I?
I'll cover one point.
Yeah.
If you are working on a SaaS model, and if your audience is small to medium-sized businesses in India, the freemium model, which is where you offer some service to businesses free of charge initially, and then you hope to charge them later on, that model has not been greatly successful for many companies. The same thing changes when that is offered to the target audience in US or other geographies. But this is what my research and my finding is, that if you are providing healthcare service on a freemium model, then you should look at different ways of pricing mechanism for your product. I think Indian customers are value centric. It's not that Indian customers or consumers don't have money. It's just that they got to see that they are getting value from your product or services. So that's the fundamental learnings I would like to share. Milava, you can take it.
Yeah, I think fantastic. So I think it varies from segment to segment and categories to categories, right? So if we talk about cloud kitchens, for example, food, right? Then I think what everybody looks at is discount, nothing else. There is zero loyalty from customers. They just want something that is free, something that is a buy one, get one free. And how much discount are you offering on the food? That's how customers look at it in that segment. When it comes to healthcare and the other segments, for example, our medical device industries, patent does a lot of work and IP does a lot of work. For example, I happen to invest in a company called Shira MedTech, and it's a patented product. And now what happens is, so they are 5 times more costlier than the remaining competition that they have. They are into microvascular clamps, right? And it's a patented product. BIRAC has already given a grant to them. Now his product is 5 times more expensive, maybe 10 times more expensive than the regular clamps. But still people pay for it because they feel that yes, there is a lot of value, there is an IP attached to it. And if we talk about the government sectors, then they have this L1, L2, L3 in terms of pricing, where it plays a very major role when we have our product. But when you have an IP of your own, you are completely categorized in a different segment, right? And you get the preferences over there. So pricing, costing, it's a very important aspect, but you need to study the market and the competition, again, depending on what kind of industry you are in, and that should work. So it's a strategy. Again, pricing, it's a subject of strategy. Yes, Dr. Anand.
Namaskar. Thank you so much for agreeing to be here. And I'll just give you some
absolutely, sir. Appreciate
some background. In fact, we run a parallel funding clinic where which I believe there were some questions related to some other seed fund, etc., and some other grants related matter. So my message for our incubatees in STBI would be that when we have people like Milabji with Pialiji and Bhavinji over here, so let us make the best of the time understanding the investor's perspective. Right? So through the funding clinics, कहाँ से क्या grants वगैरह मिलते हैं वो तो हम लोग अलग से कर सकते हैं. When it comes to pricing, see, I'll also give you some background. STBI or Savli Technology Business Incubator has been formed under DST, Government of Gujarat, only for bio-related startups primarily. So most of them are in the field of biology, not necessarily healthcare, but there are some agri-tech guys, there are some environmental biotech guys, but necessarily all of them are technology driven. So there are some like Neerav I see over here is working on to lung cancer. Just a moment, I'll just open the, yeah. Saket is working on energy bars, and accordingly you will get to see a whole, Kronal Dholia is working on a very interesting antimicrobial type of coating that can go on any number of surfaces, from tiles to ceramics to hardware to lots of other stuff. So it is, so all of you are driven by IP, and this is what Milabji was saying right now.
Exactly.
Okay. It would have been so lovely to have a in-person interaction when he would have been saying all of these aspects. Okay. So please segregate your questions, which can wait for some other session like the funding clinic or for the IP thing. That can wait, because we also have an IP clinic separately.
Fantastic.
Okay. But we here have someone like Milabji who has been investing into startups. Okay. So you try to read his mind, okay, as to how do you look at when it comes to things like this. Okay. For example, this we also have Pratik. I saw you here some time back. Yes, you are there. So Pratik has an interesting. It appears like herbal water, but it is not that simple. I'm sure you were the part of IC committee when Pratik discussed about this. It is a patented machine. Okay, it contributes towards circular economy. It contributes towards plastic-free India and lots of such things. So interestingly, how does he position that? Unfortunately, I will share a couple of things with you. When I have tried talking about his product before some number of people, especially bureaucrats. Okay, because that is what हमारे पाले जिनसे पढ़ते हैं ज़्यादा. Okay, तो एक तो I mean no secret that they don't have much of patience. Okay, so the moment I tell them कि तुलसी वाला पानी वो सब हाँ ठीक है वो मैं समझ गया ऐसा, अरे बाबा नहीं समझा. तो and you can't really tell your bosses कि आप नहीं समझे हो अभी, आप मशीन देखो, आप सर्कुलर इकोनॉमी देखो, आप क्या करो. However, how do you have a 90-second time for an elevator pitch before an investor like Milab ji. Okay, आप उनसे थोड़ा ज्यादा समय मांगो और आप अपना एक pitch दो. Okay, maybe 3-minute, 4-minute pitch, and then ask him कि इसको मैं 90 seconds में कैसे pitch करूं. Okay, so let all of this discussion be focused onto equity-based investment. If you are seeking equity-based investment, grant की बात ही नहीं है, उसके considerations अलग होते हैं. Okay, when you have Bhavinji, when you have these people, it is important that you talk about this. So phone आया, I'll need to take this, but yeah.
I think it's a great pitch Anandji did for all of you, actually in 3 minutes. See, so this is how you should know how to pick up the opportunity. So let me share the screen and let me share a pitch deck with all of you. So I think that will probably help what kind of coverings we can do. And when coming to Pratik, as sir said, so it is more of a impact creating product, right? So those are the kind of people he should approach to, rather than going to people who are going to ask for him for scale, traction, business kaise badhaoge, distribution kaise karoge. No, you have to go to people who understand, who invest in impact, who invest in longer period, and who are not worried about how much business you are going to bring in, but who are more worried about what is the impact that you're going to create on so many number of people. So there are specific funds like that, right? Avishkar is one of them, and there are many. I'll be able to introduce that. But let me show you this. Let me share this pitch deck, so that should help.
You'll be able to share, yeah.
Now you're able to see?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so that is one company called Jajal Medical. That's again from Baroda, right? And now since they've already raised, I'm happy to share. Otherwise, it was under an NDA. But so these are the slides you would need when you pitch to an investor, right? So you can just note down. These are very common slides. What is your vision, right? And so this may differ, right? This is Jajal's, kind of way of showcasing things. You can think at it differently, right? Then what values you carry as a company, as an organization? What is the culture that you carry as an organization? So, and you can, number them first, second, third, whatever way. I'm just sharing what kind of things are included. Then there's a team, right? And okay, who is the founder and what is the experience behind that? And who's a co-founder, right? And if you are three, then maybe 3 founders or 2 founders or whatsoever. So what is the key team? Whom am I going to invest my money into? Mera paisa kis pe lagne wala? It's not on the idea. It's on the founder. At times there's this great, we are on record, so I cannot take those names, but great example about the Ambanis, for example. The money got separated 2 places. Now you can see ek kidhar hai, dusre kidhar hai. So the money is put on the founder. Always remember that. So you have to have a stellar team. You should tell where you have been educated or what has been your entrepreneurial experience or job experience or whatsoever. That's one of the slides. Then of course they have a short video, which you may not need that. Then they say that, okay, this is an example of what they do, the impact that they are creating as a product. That's what they place. So maybe Pratik can put that, without his product, what is the impact wo kiske upar, matlab to an individual or to a person, what can his product create an impact, और अभी suffering क्या है, उसको आप कैसे सुधारने वाले हो या improvise करने वाले हो, the quality of the product that you are coming up. So these are some stories or customer speaks kind of thing on their side, that what the impact this product created. So they've already come up with a proof that, okay, here we have impacted so and so many people at this stage. So this company is primarily into pre-operative software, which converts 2D images into 3D images and help the doctors operate. And then they have a post operative product, which is a 3D implant, which is in titanium. So that's what they do primarily, right? So what is the mission of your company, right? So you have to define your mission, that this is my mission, right? Then these are all various customer feedbacks. If you have tried, the product, or if you sampled the product, maybe you can kind of take feedbacks from the university, from the incubation center, from a few primary customers. You can try and check that, right? Then if you are already performing, if you already have an MVP, maybe what is the growth that you've done quarter on quarter or month on month or year on year. Maybe you can put up some numbers over here. Now this can be numbers, this can be SKU development, this can be the roadmap of your product development. That this is when I started thinking about the idea in so and so time. Then this is what we did. Then we build the team. Then we build the prototype. And here we are. So it's not necessary it has to be numbers. It can be anything that can be measured and looked upon, which showcases your growth, right? Then what is the problem that you're trying to solve, right? So here is a problem, that how are we helping avoid surprises in surgery, right? That's what they do. So they mentioned, showcase that this is the problem or this is the gap. Then the size, the total addressable market that I mentioned, that what is the market you are looking at, right? And then what is the market that you're going to service by yourself. You can make these kind of charts and showcase that these are the kind of things you should look at. What are you doing exactly? And this is what we do. We are, kind of creating this herbal water, which has so and so minerals or so and so Ayurvedic inputs, which is better than the mineral water or so and so water. So this is how we can improvise health or whatsoever, right? So, and then, okay. Then what is the impact that they have kind of created in the trials? That these are the amount of surgeries that they've supported, right? How many patients? What is the impact that they created? Again, compared with the timelines. Then the competitive landscape, right? Because the investor may not know. I don't know where you can sell, where you can't sell. I will go on the data that you have given to me. So you need to educate me in one slide that where do you stand vis-a-vis your competition, either in terms of services or in terms of quality or in terms of pricing, and what are those companies doing in what kind of market and what size. So competitive landscape is the key thing for us to know that where are we placed as of now. Team size, you can say that this is our team. It can be only 1, 2, 3, whatever you are looking at, and how are you guys divided in that product. Projected growth, and how are you looking the growth of the company. Why would I invest in you, right? I'm going to invest in you because you're going to make money for me. How are you going to make money for me? Unless or until you do not show infinite numbers of growth, I'm not sure if you're going to do the, I'm not going to come there and do the business for you. You are going to do it. I'm an enabler. मैं पैसा लगाऊंगा, आपको जो चाहिए दूंगा, काम तो आप ही को करना है, तो आप ग्रोथ कैसे दोगे? तो मेरा पैसा 5 गुना कैसे होगा, right? Otherwise, I'll put it in banks. I'll give it to a stockbroker. If I need that 30-40% return, I am looking for a 500% return. So do you have that product which is going to give 500% return to me? If I need my 500%, you really need to do 10x every year, right? That's the number you should be. Aim very, very high. अगर आपको एक्सेल शीट के ऊपर 0 लिखने से डर लगता है, तो आपके पास इन्वेस्टर कभी नहीं आएगा. आई एम टेलिंग यू द डोंट्स आल्सो. कि अगर आपको लिखने से डर लगता है तो करोगे कैसे, राइट? सो दैट्स द एरिया यू नीड टू लुक एट. प्रोजेक्टेड 5 years ग्रोथ. अगर आईपी पेटेंट है तो हमको लिखना है उसके अंदर दैट हियर इज एन आईपी एंड द पेटेंट दैट वी आर काइंड ऑफ लुकिंग एट with the numbers, with the details, right? Advisory panel, I am happy to see I showcase my name also, so I am also pitching here that we've been advising them, and then there are a few people who are helping them on the technical side of it. And what is the amount of money they are looking for, right? So they are mentioning कि हमको 3.5 करोड़ रुपया चाहिए, 12 से 18 महीने में हम इसको यूटिलाइज कर लेंगे, खत्म, राइट? एंड कहाँ यूटिलाइज करने वाले? तो यूएस एफडीए में यूटिलाइज करेंगे, यहाँ पे कस्टमाइज करना है हमारे प्लेटफॉर्म को, राइट? देन प्रिंटेड मॉडल्स बनाने हैं. सो दे मेंशन, दे नो वेयर दे वांट टू स्पेंड द मनी, राइट? सो दैट्स ऑल. सो आई थिंक this is the basic pitch deck which Anand sir said, which covers everything. Then you can add something how it is different than others.
I think we have still around 5-6 minutes in case anybody has questions from pitch deck or pitch perspective.
Any questions? Let it be free. Any questions? Any thoughts? Anything that anybody would want to share?
I think I don't know the water. The Dr. Anand suggested that product where positioning, especially during the elevator time. I would say that look, elevator time is only to get commitment for the meeting, and most investors, they want to see that how big this opportunity could be, and at the end of the day, they got to feel that they will make money here. So the elevator pitch could be something like this: that look, I am working on a patented beverage company or a technology, and my team and I are confident that we will achieve revenue of, let's say, 70 crore by year 2024. And I want to take this opportunity to introduce that. And if you have time now, I need 12 minutes now. Or what about tomorrow, day after tomorrow? So you close it at that point of time.
Beautiful.
Because as soon as they say, no, tell me about it. And I would say, look, I can tell you about it, but I need 10 minutes. Because I don't want to tell you right now in the elevator that what is this tulsi ka water.
So primary elevator pitch would be that those 3 minutes should be enough for the investor to get more attention and leading him to a larger pitch. That's how it should be. Larger time.
And अगर मिलाप सिंह को अगर pitch कर रहे हो ना, तो ऐसा बोलो कि मैं 100 crore बनाने वाला हूँ. Then only he will say कि let's meet tomorrow. Otherwise he'll say, send me the pitch, I'll look into it, I'll come back to you.
Let's meet yesterday. I am okay with it.
Yeah. Dr. Anand, और क्या biggest or most common problem क्या है? We still have 5 minutes.
True. एक और जो प्रॉब्लम मुझको लगता है जो हमारे इंक्यूबेटर्स, वो वैल्यूएशन में, फॉर एग्जांपल, फॉर दैट मैटर, valuation of the startup is never accepted by the investor, prospective investor. वो बोलता है कि मुझको लगता है कि मेरा जो स्टार्टअप है उसका वैल्यू 7 करोड़ का है और मुझको आप अगर 35 lakhs दे रहे हो तो आई कैन गिव यू दिस मच। अब ये जो है वो इशू आता है कि भाई एक तो तुम्हारे स्टार्टअप का वैल्यूएशन ही 7 करोड़ नहीं लगता, वहां से शुरू होता है, और दूसरा आई मीन इफ आई एम ऑन दिस साइड ऑफ द टेबल आई विल डू द सेम थिंग। ओके, अभी हाउ डज a startup convince that the valuation of his startup is something like this?
तो
And
मेरे से अच्छा भाविन को कोई नहीं समझा पाएगा। ये मेरा स्ट्रगल हमें, so there is a startup of my own also where I struggle to convince the investors that how my valuable, right? So I try to tell them that boss, don't look at my value, but look at the amount of money that I'm going to make for you. Today, if you tell me my value is 8 crore, 10 crores, it's a 2 crore matter, but don't you think that I'm going to be 100 crore thing? तो आपको तो 10 का मल्टीप्लीकेशन उधर से मिल रहा है, तो आप क्यों एक दो के पीछे लगे हो? जल्दी पैसा लाओ, जल्दी काम करते। That's one way, right? Second would be that, so I think there are many investors now, they are becoming they have a pro founder approach also. VCs को ये approach नहीं है, but there are so many angel investors investing in the primary level who have a pro founder approach. So valuation को issue बनाना ही नहीं चाहिए. This is what I believe.
मतलब I'm just interrupting, but I think the Shark Tank is doing more harm than good, because वो sensationalize जो कर रहा है उससे क्या हो रहा है?
ये ऐसा है, to be I mean to be very honest, शार्क टैंक के बाद जितना इंटरेस्ट एचएनआईज को जगह है ना ये इंडस्ट्री में इन्वेस्ट करने को, उतना कभी नहीं था. सो द पॉइंट इज दैट देयर हैज टू बी सम काइंड ऑफ अवेयरनेस. सो शार्क टैंक इज अबाउट हमको उसमें से क्या पकड़ना है. हमको पकड़ना है कि यार घर घर में लोग पहचानने लगे, माई वाइफ एंड माई पेरेंट्स नाउ अंडरस्टैंड दैट ओके व्हाट एम आई एक्चुअली डूइंग. अब तक उनको ही नहीं मालूम था कि मैं क्या कर रहा हूँ. बोले कभी ये धंधा है, कभी वो धंधा है, कभी ये स्टार्टअप है, कभी वो स्टार्टअप है, तू करता क्या है, राइट? सो नाउ इट इज दैट आंसर दैट क्वेश्चन फॉर इन्वेस्टर्स and this asset class being accepted. But coming to the valuation point, it is about that, see, that is unless and until you have specific numbers and unless and until you have 2 to 3 balance sheets to support what you have projected, right, वो valuation का question रहेगा ही रहेगा. So उसके ऊपर कभी argue नहीं करना चाहिए, is what I believe. Now there are different instruments. You have safe notes, you have debentures, you have compulsory convertible debentures, कंपल्सरी कन्वर्टेबल प्रेफरेंशियल शेयर्स. के हमको तो अगर मैं स्टार्टअप हूं तो मैं इन्वेस्टर को ये बोलूंगा कि देखो भाई साहब, मुझे तो 1 करोड़ रुपया चाहिए, मुझे नहीं मालूम मेरा वैल्यूएशन क्या है. मेरा ऐसा मानना है कि मेरा ये वैल्यूएशन है क्योंकि मेरा जैसा कोई और है जिसने इतने मल्टीपल के ऊपर इतना फंड रेज किया हुआ है, तो मेरा मानना है कि भाई मैं उसके आजू बाजू तो हूँ, उससे थोड़ा कम ही हूँ. दैट इज वन. लेट मी नॉट गेट ऑन अ नंबर. लेकिन अगर आप मुझे 1 करोड़ रुपया देंगे तो उससे मैं ये नंबर पे पहुंचूंगा अगले 1 साल में. दैट इज इन टर्म्स ऑफ रेवेन्यू, राइट? दिस इज अ रेवेन्यू दैट आई विल बिल्ड, और उसका मल्टीपल ये है. अगर मेरा रेवेन्यू 1 करोड़ रुपया हुआ और 5x के मल्टीपल से अगर फंडिंग हो रहा है तो 1 साल के बाद मेरा वैल्यूएशन साहब 5 करोड़ तो होगा ना, राइट? तो आप मुझे 1 करोड़ रुपया दीजिए. मैं नहीं कह रहा हूं कि आप 20% इक्विटी आप अभी लीजिए, मेरा आज 5 करोड़ वैल्यूएशन नहीं है. तो तब जो वैल्यूएशन होगा, अगर मैं 5 करोड़ पहुंच गया तो उस वैल्यूएशन में आपको 20%, 30% साहब डिस्काउंट दे दूंगा. अदरवाइज मेरा वैल्यूएशन कितना है तो साहब 2 करोड़ रुपया, 2.5 करोड़ तो आप मान के चलते हो, उतना कुछ तो बेस हमारा हो ही जाता है. सो देन द वैल्यूएशन एंड द कन्वर्जन ऑफ इक्विटी हैपेंस इन द नेक्स्ट राउंड व्हेन यू हैव द नंबर्स. सो नेवर ट्राई टू जस्टिफाई द वैल्यूएशन, रादर अराइव दैट ओके आई वांट मनी. सी फाइनली तो पैसा चाहिए, तो you should have enough money to reach to the next level. We should not take less money. Always remember, all the founders here, do not compromise and do not take less money. आपको थोड़ा बहुत वैल्यूएशन ऊपर नीचे फर्स्ट राउंड में हो गया, चलेगा. कम पैसे मत लेना कि भाई मेरे को तो यार 2.5 करोड़ चाहिए लेकिन मेरे को तो 1 करोड़ इन्वेस्टर दे रहा है तो चलेगा. तो वो इन्वेस्टर आपके काम का नहीं, राइट? एंड ऑल्सो इन्वेस्टर में देखिए कि वो क्या वैल्यू ऐड करने वाला है. Investment just does not mean money. There are 50 people who are going to give you money today, but there are not 50 investors who will take interest in you and add value in your business by networking, by enhancing your business. So if I invest primarily in any startups, I try to make sure that am I able to add value. अगर वो नहीं कर पाया तो यार मैं उसको support कर पाऊंगा, मैं उसको business थोड़ा दिला पाऊंगा, तो मेरा मूडी तो secure होगा. I will grow him, help him or her grow more. So that is also one quality you should look into investors.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
Over to you.
from valuation perspective, quickly, there are two things I generally see. One, whether the startup is already making revenue. If there is a revenue trail, then there are some methods to arrive to some valuation. And if you carry valuation of a reputed third party who has done the valuation for your business, that becomes useful when negotiating with the with the investor. However, when you don't have revenue and it's very difficult to come to the valuation, one thing practically which we have seen work is that you look at, forget about the valuation part, look at the amount of equity which founding team should have.
Correct.
And amount of rounds they would go through till that time they become high growth company. So if I as a company require 3 rounds of funding from now till next 24 months, and then amount of equity as a founding team I should hold by once I reach to Series A, it's a very, very mathematical game as a percentage of equity. And at a Series A level, if you do not hold a certain amount of equity, your round doesn't happen. True. And all of these people who involved in that journey, including investors, would suffer if you do not raise your round.
There should be enough to give further. Otherwise, the current investor को exit कहाँ से मिलेगा?
So we have seen that valuation का कोई metrics ही नहीं है. फिर भी कंपनी को वैल्यूएशन मिला बिकॉज इन्वेस्टर ने बोला कि तुम इतना नहीं रखोगे, तुम्हें पैसा तो इतना चाहिए ही चाहिए. अगर तुम्हें मैं वैल्यूएशन ज्यादा नहीं दूंगा, एंड इफ आई डोंट, इफ सो दे शुड थिंक नॉट लाइक आई शुड हैव द हाईएस्ट अमाउंट ऑफ इक्विटी. They should think that there should be enough equity for founding team. Otherwise, this is the team who is running the show. So I think there are a lot of permutation combinations can be think about structuring what Mila Bhai suggested. There are various ways to take money, but yeah.
Bhavin, you went on mute.
I'm here. Yeah.
Okay. No, the business requires capital, and I echo what he's saying, that you should have enough capital to do the experiments you need to do. Anyway, I think we are running over the time. So yeah, let's.
पता नहीं, मुझको तो ऐसा लगता है जैसे वो किसका ऐड है, you just can't have one. ऐसा होता है ना, कौन से चिप्स एक बार खाया तो you want to have more. I would like to have more of Milab ji and Bhavin ji.
No, we'll be happy to do a offline session whenever time permits. More than happy to have more number of people, and we'll be happy to be a part of it.
Right. In fact, we have close to 35 incubators right now in STBI. And close to 12 or 13 of them are residential who come there every day. But a lot of them, they are also, they are residential in the sense they come and work, but they come for not more than 1 week a month. Okay.
Right.
So, but we would want all of them there whenever you are talking. And हम लोग पहले क्या है उनका थोड़ा सा तैयारी करा लेते so that they can benefit more out of you.
Sure.
ऐसा मुझको लगता है.
So there is one more point, a small point that I'll put up is that there are many founders who do not have technology, right? Because a founder is an innovator. तो उसके पास अच्छा प्रोडक्ट है, अच्छा सर्विस है, but he is not a he is not a coder. He or she is not a coder, and the business may be, it may be enhanced more if they build an app or build a portal, and it's a tech-based business completely, right? So then there are many venture builders now, right? In India, in Southeast Asia, in US, they take a certain portion of equity from you from day one, but then they help you build the app. They be with you. They be with you in the whole strategy. Growth कैसे होगा, logo कैसे बनेगा, business कैसे होगा. They also help you with the fundraise, right? So and they be with you. So they actually act as investors, mentors, and co-founders.
Fantastic.
So,
हमारे यहाँ का problem ऐसा है, most of them are bio-based. Either students or researchers themselves. So most of them are married to technology to such an extent that they are not able to separate themselves from the technology. जब इनको बोलते हैं कभी-कभी कि थोड़ा जो है मतलब business perspective से देखो, तो आप समझते हो ना, ये साइंटिस्ट वालों का जो प्रॉब्लम होता है ना, वैसा प्रॉब्लम होता है. और मतलब टेक्नोलॉजी को गाली दी तो उनको लगता है उनको गाली दे दी, तो ऐसा
इमोशनल नहीं होने का एक ऑफ ऐसा है कि डोंट बी इमोशनल विथ योर बिजनेस एंड योर ब्रांड. पैसा बनाता कि tomorrow you will have to part with a portion of it or maybe the full of it. Now you cannot be emotional. Bharat Pay से अश्नीर जी को मतलब he had to leave. So finally, so I mean, I don't know if it is good or it's bad, right? We'll have our third party perspective. But don't be emotional. Just numbers work. Finally, पैसा बोलता है, दूसरा innovation कर लेना. घर का खेती है. Is what we believe.
Hey folks, I think it's wonderful catching up here today. But I have a strong commitment. I'll have to leave.
Yes.
Right. Can you quickly have your contact details or your email ID, something out there?
I think Piali can share that.
I can do that. I'll share it on the email that I have.
And we are all open by email. I think through Piali or otherwise, I think you all can reach out. And कभी किसको भी fund raise करना है, मेरा तो काम है 24 घंटा. I'll be more than happy to look at them.
And I'll request both of you to please visit us in Savli.
Sure.
There is a biotech park that state government is developing, which is in very close vicinity.
Amazing.
Actually, पार्क आ रहा था, इसके लिए इंक्यूबेटर उधर लाए, लेकिन इंक्यूबेटर के लिए आ गया. पार्क अभी भी आ रहा है, लेकिन अब आएगा.
We have to make it. I think it's a great thing that you're doing. 35 startups incubation is not an easy affair. I think it is great, and thank you for the opportunity, sir. हमको भी
Thank you so much for sparing.
Thank you, sir.
Bhavin ji.
Thank you, Dr. Anand, and
Thank
everyone.
you, sir.
Bye
Thank
for
you
now.
very much.
Thank you,
Thank
Piali
you.
ji.
Thank you,
so
everybody.
much.
Thank you. Thank you, Piali ji.
Thank you very much, and we'll be in touch. Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.